Okay. Ooh. Hello again and welcome to Faith Night Friday. Oh my God. It has been really been hot here in Chicago. I think our hottest was yesterday, and I think it reached like 100. I think 101. I think it's the most we went up to. Other places I heard were like 119, and I was like, nah, we're good. We're good. No complaints here. So, yeah. So hopefully this will be it for us, unless it gets hot again in September, because every year, like before Halloween or in October, it gets, the temperature just like drops, like drastically just drops, right by the 31st of October, around that area. It just drops so bad. Like it'll be like 40, 35. Next thing you know, we're seeing flurries out there. But yeah, because usually during September, I think we get that that Indian summer, in which it gets hot like for about maybe 5 days, but it doesn't get that hot. The most it will reach will be maybe like 80s or 90s. I don't think it ever went over 100, not like it did yesterday. But yeah, I'm talking about Indians, rocking my little Indian style hair. So yeah, I thought I'd put it like this. I was gonna put it up in a bun, but with one of those clips, but I said, you know what, let me put it on the side, because I just need to feel cool. I just took a shower and I'm like, I can't do this heat. Plus all the kids, thank God my granddaughter hasn't gotten sick, but my other two grandsons did get sick, and now I'm, feeling the burn in my sinuses, and the scratchy throat. So after this, I'm definitely going to try and drink some tea, do a little bit more reading, and definitely drink tea and try to relax, because I had to be out this door tomorrow. But let's jump into this. So, I think, I was going to look up her name, and I know we were talking about the songs of back in the old days, and I don't think it was Josephine, but she was one of those pioneer women, and she went around McPherson, something McPherson. I just remember her last name, but I don't remember her first name. And she became she built her own empire, like literally built her own empire. I mean, back in the day, she's the one that opened up the food pantry. She's the one that was giving, feeding the poor, and she even did movements in the Holy Spirit. I mean, she just became full-blown prophecy pioneer warrior. She was it. There was another one too, but I forgot her name, and I'll try to look that up as well. But anyway, she had this little song that she would sing all the time. And it goes like this. The more we get together, the more we get together, the happier we'll be. For his ways are our ways, and our ways are his ways. The more we get together, the happier we'll be. That was it. And you just sing it over and over and over again. And it was just such a catchy little song, and you just sing it over. The more we get together, the more. And I think she's talking about the brothers and sisters and the saints. The more we get together, the happier we'll be. For his ways are our ways, and our ways are his ways. The more we get together, the happier we'll be. And that, I don't know what it is, but that just opens up my spirit, like, yes, and just happy to know that, that his ways are greater than our ways. And, the more we listen to his ways, the more successful we'll be. So yes, let's live his way, because his thoughts are greater than our thoughts. His ways are greater than our ways. His plans are greater than our own plans. So what do you have to lose? Like really, what do you got to lose? Okay, so we are in chapter 9, and we are still in 1 Samuel. And so let's jump into it. So we were reading 1 Samuel verse. Okay, so we're reading 1 Samuel chapter 9. And this is when Saul meets Samuel. And again, I've always introduced what 1 Samuel is about. And it's about one leader, one prophet, and 2 kings. So right now the people in chapter 8 wanted a king, and it kind of blew me away, because in the back in I think in verse, I don't know where it was, I was questioning this because they wanted a king, and Samuel was explaining to them, how the king was going to treat them. And then he was saying that, if they rejected this king, they're going to reject this king just the way they rejected me as their king. And I thought about that, and I was like, but how can God be king if he wasn't Jesus king? So how did God become king if he wasn't, But then again, God had to become flesh. And because he is king regardless how he did it. But he had to become flesh and, to enter this world. And he did. And so for that reason, because for Samuel, Jesus wasn't even born yet. So we're like, I was like, well, he wasn't even born yet, so how did he became king? And he is King of Kings, Lord of Lords, and Kings of Kings. And we all know that now. How was it that he was king before he was born? But again, he was king even before he was born. So there you go. Okay, is he quiet? Yeah. All right, Cersei's quiet. So just something to think about. Okay, so he was telling them, this king is going to treat you this way. He's going to take away, and these people are just not going to be happy. I'm telling you that right now. He's just ain't going to be happy. But that's what you want. That's what you want to get. So Samuel went out, and he went searching for a king. For Saul, who became the king. So there was a wealthy and influential man named Kish from the tribe of Benjamin. He was the son of Abiel and the grandson of Zorro, and belonged to the family of Becharath and part of the clan of Aphia. He had a son named Saul, handsome man in the prime of life. Saul was a foot taller than anyone else in Israel and more handsome as well. Some donkeys belonging to Kish had wandered off, So he said to Saul, "Take one of the servants with you and go and look for the donkeys." They went through the hill country of Ephraim and the region of Shelishah, but did not find them. So they went on through the region of Shalim, but the donkeys were not there. Then they went through the territory of Benjamin, but still did not find them. When they came into Amy McPherson. Sorry. He just told me. Amy McPherson. That's who it was. Sorry. Then they went through the territory of Benjamin, but still did not find them. When they came into the region of Soph, Saul said to his servant, "Let's go back home, or my father might stop thinking about the donkeys and start worrying about us." The servant answered, "Wait, in this town there is a holy man who is highly respected because everything he says comes true. Let's go to him, and maybe he can tell us where we can find the donkeys." "If we go to him, what can we give him?" Saul asked. "There is no food left in our packs, and we don't have a thing to give him, do we?" The servant answered, "I have a small silver coin. I can give him that, and then he will tell us where we can find them." Saul replied, "Good idea. Let's go." So they went into town where the holy man lived. As they were going up the hill to the town, they met some girls who were coming out to draw water. They asked the girls, "Is the seer in town?" At that time, a prophet was called a seer, and so whenever someone wanted to ask God a question, he would say, "Let's go to the seer." "Yes, he is," the girls answered. In fact, he is just ahead of you. If you hurry, you will catch up with him, and as soon as you go into town, you will find him. He arrived in town today because the people are going to offer a sacrifice who are invited won't start eating until he gets... Okay, wait. As soon as you go into the town, you will find him. He arrived in town today because the people are going to offer a sacrifice on the altar on the hill. The people who are invited won't start eating until he gets there, because he has to bless the sacrifice first. If you go now, you will find him before he goes up the hill to eat." So Saul and his servants went on to the town, and as they were going in, they saw Samuel coming out toward them on his way to the place of worship. Now, on the previous day, the Lord had told Samuel, "Tomorrow about this time, I will send you a man from the tribe of Benjamin. Anoint him as ruler of my people Israel, and he will rescue them from the Philistines. I have seen the suffering of my people and had heard their cries for help." When Samuel caught sight of Saul, the Lord said to him, "This is the man I told you about. He will rule my people." Then Saul went over to Samuel, who was near the gate, and asked, "Tell me, where does the seer live?" Samuel answered, "I am the seer. Go ahead of me to the place of worship. Both of you are to eat with me today. Tomorrow morning I will answer all your questions and send you on your way. As for the donkeys, they were lost 3 days ago. Don't worry about them. They have already been found. But who is that the people of Israel want so much? It is you and your family and your father's family." Saul answered, "I belong to the tribe of Benjamin, the smallest tribe in Israel, and my family is the least important of one in the tribe. Why then do you talk like this to me?" Then Samuel led Saul and his servant into a large room and gave them a place at the head of the table, where the guests, about 30 in all, were seated. Samuel said to the cook, "Bring the piece of meat I gave you, which I told you to set aside." So the cook brought the choice piece of the leg and placed it before Saul. Samuel said, "Look, Is this piece that was kept for you? Eat it. I saved it for you to eat at this time with the people I invited. So Saul ate with Samuel that day. When they went down from the place of worship to the town, they fixed up a bed for Saul on the roof, and he slept there. Samuel anointed Saul as ruler. At dawn, Samuel called to Saul on the roof, "Get up, I will send you on your way." Saul got up, and he and Samuel went out into the street together. When they arrived at the edge of town, Samuel said to Saul, "Tell the servant to go ahead of us." The servant left, and Samuel continued, "Stay here a minute, and I will tell you what God has said." So that ends chapter 9. So I am just going to take this, and I'm going to, because I always have to mark at one. Well, I got it in my paper, but I want to make sure that I know we'll be going to chapter 10 next. And then it'll be Saul, when he anoints Saul, ruler will be next. Okay, so let's go to Samuel chapter 9, and let's see what the commentary has to say. Okay, so first Saul chapter 9. The donkey was a prized animal, Job 1:3, and was used by royalty. So they lost 2 donkeys, right? 1 Kings 1:33-34. But you would expect to find a nation's first king. But would you expect to find a nation's first king out looking for lost donkeys? Saul's obedience to his father, his concern for his father, and his willingness to persevere in a hard task seem to indicate character and future success. How strange that Saul did not know about Samuel, and how disappointing that the only reason they visited Samuel was to find their lost animals. People often use religion to solve their problems and not to strengthen their character or overcome their sins. Nevertheless, God used all of this to bring Saul to Samuel. Faithfulness in a small task led Saul to a new friend, a new calling, a new opportunity to serve God. Had he remained a humble servant, things would have been different in his life and in Israel. But good beginnings are no guarantee of good endings. Because even though he was, a faithful servant, and he was faithful, to taking care of his game or donkeys or whatever, and he was faithful, in taking care of his dad, again, there was nobody, and especially when it comes to Samuel, his sons were no influencers. They didn't, really put out exactly what Samuel of worshiping God in that time, what it meant and how important it was. So yeah, he did like the minimal stuff and probably learned certain things, but it wasn't that of an impact. It wasn't that much. All we knew was that he was careful and took care of his family and his property, and that's what built his character. He was like, I don't know, maybe compassionate about it, and that was the character God was looking for. But again, that doesn't mean just because, like I said here, just because but good beginnings are no guarantee for good endings. Just because he was bought and was of that character doesn't mean that character was going to last, because evidently we find out later that his whole demeanor, his whole being of what he became, literally got to his head. Like, literally. And things changed a lot. But we'll get to that. We will get to that. And so the whole story is really interesting. It just blows me away. But I think we can base that on our own character. We do things to build our character, but sometimes being disobedient and not listening to the things that we should do, later on, it just messes us up. And then we want to blame people for our misfortune, or because things are not going right, Well, because whatever you started out as was good. It was good. But then we let the world take over. We start listening to stuff, and the world takes over everything that we shouldn't be listening to or watching and stuff. And then we build up our own ideas, and they have nothing to do with God. None of his plans. It's our own way or the highway, and we end up falling on our butts. But but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, right? What?
Jesse's dropped the ball at the window again.
Okay, we'll get it later. So, but we're going to continue reading because it's really interesting. So we're going to go. And I hope I didn't take the paper out. I think I did not hear it. So we were on Psalms 2. And we are going to read Psalms 3. I always like to mark where we're at. This way I won't have to, reread it. Okay, so we are in Psalms 3. And it's called Morning Prayer for Help. I have so many enemies, Lord, so many who turn against me. They talk about me and say, God will not help him. But you, O Lord, are always my shield from danger. You give me victory and restore my courage. I call to the Lord for help, and from the sacred hill he answers me. I lie down and sleep all night long. The Lord protects me. I am not afraid of the thousands of enemies who surround me on every side. Come, Lord, save me, my God. You punish all my enemies and leave them powerless to harm me. Victory comes from the Lord. May he bless his people. That's a good verse to remember, right? Victory comes from the Lord. May he bless his people. Amen to that. Okay, so we're going to be reading Psalms. So I'm doing something different right now. I'm studying. Let me see where we're at, because I just always got to check the time on this thing. And we're at 23. So, I'm studying another kind of like a study guide and book. And the reason I'm doing this, because I'm not steering away from the other book that I'm on. I'm still going with that one. But this is the one I'm reading right now, and this is the book, and this is the study guide. But what I'm trying to do is, like that, the prayer, the Our Father, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So why not? Why don't we try to bring heaven down? And I'm not saying, to the whole world or to the country, but into your own life. Wouldn't that be awesome? I mean, I already, seen, dreams where I've been in heaven, quite a few times. And believe me, it's wonderful. But to live with heavenly things from above, down here, right now, which we can, wouldn't that be awesome? And we can, because God says, as it is in heaven, down here. So that's what you should strive for. Try to bring down the things from heaven down into your life. This way, you could be a little bit more happier, a little bit more confident, a lot more obedient. Because if you obey, the results will bring you fruits of your labor for what you believe and for what you do, what you put your time into. You know, what you reap you sow, right? So why don't you try to do that, you know? So read a little bit here, read a little bit there, you know. Try to grasp whatever you can, you know, from the Word of God, so you could bring some of that heavenly of the kingdom that you live in anyway down into your life. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna stop here for now. And like a fish in the sea, so glad you caught me. And I'll let you know how things go. And we will see you next week on Faith Night Friday. Bye.
Hey, Mama.